you also worked for some time, at least that's what I could find out. You were also working for or consulting for Seymour Duncan, right?
Yeah, I worked for Seymour Duncan for maybe 6 years. I was vice president of product development, sometimes VP of sales, just depending on who was coming in and out. But yeah, so I designed product, with the engineering team there and worked on all of that stuff as well. What got me back into the MI was that I had invented the P-Rails pickups. I was talking to Seymour Duncan, and so I was talking to them about licensing and the design, and at the same time, their new product guy at the time was leaving, so I submitted the resume, and they wanted to hire me, so I moved from Chicago, where we're all originally from, Chicago, Illinois, out to California, and I stayed here, even after I left Duncan. But yeah.
Okay. But so you said what brought you back into MI? What was your first contact with the industry? When did you actually start getting into the industry, and what was your first function?
Well, I've been making guitars and working on my own guitars since I'm a kid, right? So, 12, 13 years old, I was leveling frets and reading everything I could get my hands on with Stuart McDonald or whoever else was come out with little tutorials or videos and things like that. And so I really spent a lot of time, that we all probably did, time we should have been studying or working on schoolwork, focused on something else. And that's just kind of how my mind worked. If I'm really into something, then I'll learn all about it. And if I'm not interested in something, it's very difficult to make its way, in past the gate. And so very early, I'm in my late teens, 20s, I was at Mighty Might Guitar Parts, which is Cortec, was the parent company at the time, not parent company of Mighty Might, but Westheimer Corporation you had in Illinois, and then you had Cortec factory over in Korea. They had just been starting up their Indonesian factory at that time, which is where a lot of the stuff, comes from now, because they've since closed the Korean factory. But so I was there, and I was, doing a variety of things and always building guitars. For about 10 years, I got the real job where I handled investments in finance and insurance and 401ks and, retirement planning and things like that for a company that worked with teachers. And so I mainly spent my time in the schools and with teachers. It was very focused. It's not the type of career that I probably would have chosen just in general, but because it was highly focused like that, that just seemed like a cool thing to do. And so I did that for, like I said, about 10 years. But I was always still making guitars and inventing things and working on instruments. And so the P-Rails was what made me go back. That was just something that I had, come up with, and I left that field and went back into MI. But for me, it goes all the way back. I was, installed my first pickup, again, when I'm 12 years old or something. It was just something I was into at a really young age and really deeply into it.